up throwing out a third.
Good evening, Pittsburgh sports fans, and welcome to the Pittsburgh Sports Desk. Joining me are my co-hosts Edward and Tracy. Good evening, gentlemen.
Be safe. Hey, what's up, Billy?
Good evening, William. Good evening, Trace. How are you, gentlemen?
You
Doing
missed
well.
the tag.
Doing well.
Awesome.
Doing well. Trace, I take it you're watching the Pirates and Royals.
Yes, I am. I think that the third baseman's glove went between his hands and never touched him, and I think he was safe.
How about that? All right, gentlemen. So we got some stuff to talk about. Some stuff. It's a little bit quiet on the home front here when it comes to Pittsburgh sports. Not a lot to talk about. Some things, but we're weeks away from camp. We are counting down the days here. We're what, 15 days away from camp, if I'm counting it correctly? It's pretty amazing.
It's got to be close. If you're off, it's not by much.
Yeah, July 24th, and it's the 9th. So, yeah, I think my math's
Right, Eddie, you said there's 18 teams within
Next
that
week.
time frame?
Next week, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I want to get into that a little bit, Ed. You and I were talking today about the Chargers and about their whole strategy of camp and how they're doing things, and it's pretty unique, I would say. And so we'll get into that a little bit. So, I figured just to give everybody out there a synopsis of what we're going to be talking about tonight. Figured we talk a lot about the offensive line. There's a lot of things we want to talk about over there. I want to each week going into camp, I want to kind of talk units, and I figured the offensive line would be a good to start with tonight. Get into this TJ Watt thing. If you asked me 2 weeks ago what was going to happen, I'd said they were going to resign him. Man, I don't know. It's there's a lot of rumors out there, so we'll dive into that. I want to apologize last week to all the viewers out there. I totally forgot, and I had this in my notes. It's not like I didn't think about it or I had every intention of doing it, but I just totally forgot. I don't know how I forgot it, but I want to talk about the passing of Dave Parker. I know, I can't believe we didn't address it last week. I after the show, I was like, man, I can't believe I didn't bring that up. I had it in my notes and everything to cover, but I don't know. Sometimes you get flustered and you overlook things, and that's what unfortunately happened last week. So I want to talk a little bit about Dave Parker and his legacy, and he is going into the Hall of Fame. It's just it's sad that he wasn't able to make his induction. And I want to get into that. I think he should have gone in a lot sooner than what he did. And somebody else too, I'm gonna mention that I think should be in there as well. That was a teammate of his, and we'll get into that. And then the Pirates. Nothing here. What are they in the third right now? I believe.
I think it might be the bottom of the second.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing. Trying to avoid a sweep. This is not a good. Not a good outing.
Sure.
Yeah, not a good outing for them on this road trip. You have an unprecedented home. Where you outscored your opponents in 2 series, 34-4. And here you go out and you go out on the road and get your ass handed to you by Seattle, and pretty much you can say the same thing here in Kansas City. So we'll get into that a little bit. Nothing really going on.
1-0.
The Royals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, and we'll get into Penguins. Anthony, the Mantha signing was pretty much the only thing that I saw that was of anything that was, I don't know. There's no really news in the Penguins.
Signed a defenseman from Washington. He's pretty good.
Okay. You can talk about that. Yeah.
Alex Alexiev. He ran out of a spot down there. He's a good player.
Yeah. So, and then I want to talk Pitt football. I know last week we got into it a little bit. I want to dive a little bit deeper into the schedule. Ed, I want to get kind of your take on, I know you said 3 to 4 wins last week. I want to kind of pick your brain on why you're coming to that, and just I'm not really too far off on that, to be honest with you. I think you're in the vicinity. I'm maybe picking them maybe 5 wins, maybe 6. But I want to get your take on that, and where you think they stand going in, because I tell you what, we're close. We're less than 2 months away from kickoff. I mean, end of August, playing Duquesne. So, and then I know we talked a little bit about the Riverhounds. They had a big win last week against New Mexico. And Trace, I know you have some updates on the Passion. Is this a championship game that we got coming up, or is it
It's coming up on Saturday here.
All right, so let's get right into it. Offensive line going into training camp, guys. What's your take on it? I know they're young, kind of. I would say kind of largely unproven, if you ask me. I think when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, you gotta focus on developing these players: Broderick Jones, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, Fatano. Samalo, I mean, I don't know this. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this, but I'm kind of, it's kind of wishy-washy about the whole thing. I got to be honest with you. And if you're Aaron Rodgers, I can't believe that he's not, wishy-washy on the whole thing too. I mean, I don't know, but let's Trace. I'm gonna start with you, ex college lineman. Let's get your take on it.
Well, Eddie and I were talking about it actually on the phone today. It's kind of funny, but I'm looking forward to the big question mark of Broderick Jones on that left side, obviously, right? It's his more natural position. We want to see that if he can actually live up to his pedigree and live up to what we think he can be. And then we think Frazier's obviously going to anchor the line this year. We weren't sure if it was going to be McCormick at right guard or if they might even move Fatanu at right guard, is what Eddie was saying at the end of it. But at the beginning of our conversation, I was stuck on Fatanu being on the right tackle, and I think he's going to be solid. But Ed still has a question mark on that knee. What do you think, Eddie? I missed anything in that conversation we had?
No, I think you're accurate on Frazier anchoring the line. I think as far as development, some of the guys are young, but Isaac Seumalo is 32 going on 33, so there's no developing there. He is what he is. You have Frazier, McCormick, Fautanu, and Jones, who are young. Jones has some problems other than simply being in the wrong position, which I think is a cop-out because I don't think he had the work ethic in order to do it. And he knew, especially going into his second year, he knew full well what position he was going to play. So that's shame on you if you're not over there practicing the opposite from left to right. I mean, truly shame on you. You're a professional athlete, and you're supposed to be an elite athlete. And if you're not able to switch from left to right, brother, I don't know how much you're going to get out of him at left tackle. And you're going to know right away, honestly. You're going to know immediately. Quinnen Williams is going to eat him alive from the Jets game 1. If he sees blood in the water, he's going to go right after Jones. So I think Jones, Seumalo, Frazier, McCormick at guard, Fautanu. What's up, Daniel Barry? Yo.
What's up, Daniel? Happy Wednesday, brother.
I think Fautanu, I mean, the whole entire league, the case where is why he went where he was because he had a bad knee. They said he was a one-contract athlete in the NFL. He's already missed 1 full year of playing. I don't know that he holds up on the edge. I think he's more suited to a tackle position just because the biomechanics of your legs.
Guard position.
Yeah, it's exposing it to further injury. I think that's why you bump him inside and then you look for the right tackle. I think that's the biggest question mark they have right now. They drafted a bunch of people, and they have 2 Andersons on the team, Spencer Anderson and another cat, Anderson.
Yep.
Guards. So, I mean, they have some people.
That one Anderson, he's a swing tackle. He can operate just like that, and they're excited to have him back, actually. He was pretty good as coming in the platooning. And
yeah, I mean, that's good for injury reasons, but, I mean, you don't want to have a rotation that early on your line. As you see in the NFL, we can all look – the teams that are in the playoffs at the end are the ones that have the most consistent consecutive starts with the same line. I mean, those are the ones that succeed in the NFL, and you can see it everywhere. The Eagles didn't lose anybody. Same line the whole year. You could say, and that's, Kansas City lost their left tackle and had to bump out Joe Thuney, who's not a left tackle. And you saw what happened in the Super Bowl. He got eaten alive by the ends of Philadelphia. I mean, I don't know how much money he made some people because a couple of them left and made just a ton of money. So I think that the line is going to be the biggest thing, and you can go position by position. We know what Broderick Jones did. I mean, we could start with him. I mean, there was no doubt about him at Georgia, right? He played the position well, and he played in the SEC. I just think that, everybody can say what they want. They can say that the Steelers stunted his growth, by not playing him at left tackle and leaving Dan Moore at right tackle. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, obviously, Jones played 2 seasons at right tackle. He's going to move to the left side, filling that vacated spot by Dan Moore Jr. He's in his natural position. But I agree with what you said earlier. I mean, he's a professional, and he should be able to play both sides and play both sides effectively.
Well, the first year you can give him kind of a break, right?
Right.
He's expected to play left tackle, but you knew going into year 2 that you were not being out.
But you know what? I mean, we've said it before. Isn't playing in the SEC almost like playing in the NFL? I mean, you're playing a bunch of against a bunch of guys that are going to be in the league anyways. You're gonna see them. You're gonna see them down the road anyways. It
begs the question though: why do you have an administration within the Steelers that thought it was a good idea to draft a left tackle that could not beat out your current left tackle?
Well, that's a very good question. That's
right?
a very good question.
Why draft him? Go for a right tackle.
Yeah.
Don't even bother to draft a left tackle.
Right.
That could be an issue, but I'm sorry. He was one of the lowest rated guards in the NFL last year, or tackles in the NFL. That's not fake. Those are great. Yeah.
Right. And so, when you look at it, the PFF ranking overall, they have them at 21st. There's some improvement to make, and I don't know. I think it's you've got. I think you've got a lot of young talent on this line. I mean, you've invested heavily in this young talent. I mean, when you look at it, 4 of their 5 draft picks from 2023 and 2024, they're expected to be starters this year. I think depth is another thing that you got to be concerned about. I mean, particularly with what you saw last year with some of these injuries. I think Pat Meyer, he's going to be under pressure. He's got to deliver and develop these guys, and he's got to get them playing with cohesion and consistency. And when you look at this, and I don't know if it's going to be different now that you have Aaron Rodgers calling the shots, but in the Arthur Smith system, guys, this is a very run-heavy offense. And, when you have a run-heavy offense, it emphasizes the need for a strong, durable offensive line. And, I just think, the training camp is going to be crucial. I think training camp is going to be crucial. I study training camp every day and look for different things. I know, I'm always tuning into Steelers Nation Radio because those guys are kind of the eye in the sky, and they give a detailed, depiction of what's going on the field. I mean, they give you all the news and notes of what's going on the field, to a certain extent. I mean, obviously they're not telling you, what plays are being run and things like that. But I mean, they're telling you what they see on the field. And it's, to me, that's, that's where it starts, so. But it's a little troubling that they're ranked 21st. Pro Football Focus ranked them 21st overall. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know that they got some room for improvement for sure.
How many teams play in the NFL?
32.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a
21.
Couple sneaky signings that might pay out. Trace, what do you make of taking Zach Frager's guard from West Virginia, bringing him on the team? What do you make of that?
I think it'd be a good move.
I mean, they did. They have his name's Doug Nestor. He's from West Virginia. Played with Frazier. Can that bring anything to it? I mean, they know each other well. They played together for a couple years.
I mean, you're talking about continuity. If you had him right beside him for a couple years, that's pretty comfortable with somebody right beside you. You know what I mean?
Right. He's a guard, so I mean, he could unseat Seumalo if he doesn't perform. I think McCormick might be entrenched if he stays healthy. But to Billy's point, there's depth, but it's extremely raw and young.
Yeah.
Do you expect, like, if you played, would you play center and guard? Yeah, you played center and guard, Trace, right?
Yeah, a little tackle every once in a while.
Yeah, but if you know your center and you know your tackle, right? But you especially know your center. I mean, that's got to be comforting for the both of them, right? If they get to play together.
Yeah.
Let
I
me
think. Go ahead, Bill.
pose this question: left guard Isaac Samala. Do you look at him? Obviously, he's that veteran. I would say a solid performer. Do you think that he's that reliable anchor for that line? I mean, do you look at him as that guy now? You got all these young guys. You've got all these young
I
guys
think
here.
Frazier's your anchor.
Yeah, I
I
think.
do.
I
I think you're up front anchor, and that's why they drafted him, and that's why we got excited when they drafted him, because he does not lose ground. The snaps are there. He's a solid guy. I think Malu though is the one who's calling left and right up front there, but I'm not sure how Aaron's going to do that when he comes up and calls everything. He might be in charge and telling the line which way to go. And if that's the case, they're just going to do reaching schemes or, go left or go right. And it depends on how fast you're going to go comparative to whatever play you're running.
Right. Let's talk center. Zach Frazier, I think he impressed me as a rookie in last year in 2024. I think it's just, a matter of him building on what he had last year. Let's get your guys' take.
I think he's definitely the anchor of the offensive line. And what impressed me about him was his durability, because he came in off of an ACL. So theoretically, physiologically speaking, this year is going to be an even better year for him because he's going to be even healthier. But I think it's going to be, it's going to be the guard tackle guard, guard center guard. If they figure that out, that's a tremendous for a quarterback. Quarterbacks hate pressure up the middle. They just every single one of them hate it, and you can hear them. You've watched any documentaries or any of those, Hard Knocks or anything. You saw Aaron Rodgers on Hard Knocks. He said, "I don't care about the guys on the outside. Don't care about them. I can work around them because I can't have pressure up the middle." So that guard.
Well,
center,
that's why we drafted our nose tackle, what we did this year, by the way.
True, and you got to see if he pans out. See if he can beat the rookie, because Steelers don't like to play rookies for whatever reason. See if he can beat out Hayward and or beat out whoever's there, Benton, whoever's there. We'll see if he can.
I think he's starting day one.
I don't know. They don't like to do that. I don't know why, but they don't like.
He's replacing who was 99 that we just got rid of?
Ogunjobi.
Ogunjobi, that's it. Yep.
Larry Ogunjobi. Yeah.
Larry, he's replacing Larry. Yep.
So the offensive line is going to be interesting. I think there's not a question at center. It's just his durability. So can he hold up? And I think he really knows and understands how to move the pocket around as being a wrestler, which I don't know why more people don't go for those players, because they tend to be the best offensive linemen because they have that wrestling background. So
look at what was his name? Carlton Hasselrig.
Hasselrig, yeah.
Hasselrig, yep.
Yeah. He never even played football in high school.
Yeah.
He was a
wrestler.
Yeah.
And if you remember the movie Replacements, what they get? They got a sumo wrestler moving people around.
They did.
Yeah.
He ate those eggs?
Yes, he did. He got very sick, though, eating those eggs. But so the next position, I mean, for me, Frazier is done. So that leaves you 4 positions. Yeah. You figure Jones is going to start on left, right? Left guard is going to be Salmalu. So left tackle Jones, what do you think about him? I mean, somebody said I don't know.
The jury's still out. I mean, I want to see what he does in camp. Listen, guys.
It's a question mark. That's for sure.
I think Trace, were you saying he lost weight? Sorry, Billy. When we talked today, did you say he lost weight?
Who?
Broderick Jones.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if he did or not.
I thought we were talking about that. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, no, I think one of the storylines I think for this offensive line, one of the main storylines I think for the offensive line, is these tackles and just their development. I mean, what you're going to have from Jones this year, Faltano, another guy.
Durability.
Well, yeah. Yep. I mean, he needs to stay healthy and develop his develop his game, so to speak. Jones, this is his supposedly comfortable position. He needs to excel in that position. He was not good playing. Playing on the right side. He wasn't.
How long do you think it takes him to get back in his groove?
Well, remains to be seen. But I mean, that's why I say, you want to talk about a guy that has pressure. Pat Meyer has pressure. definitely some pressure going. He's got to figure out how to get these guys to play, as a cohesive unit. And
No pressure.
who knows? I mean, they might already kind of be down that road, so to speak, with the OTAs and minicamp. But we'll see what happens on that.
All right, so we're all set on tackle. Jones being the left tackle, right?
Yeah.
Jury's out on how he's going to perform. Center's easy. Left guard, Sayamalu. Is he the starter?
Yes.
So yeah. Right guard, I think you got Mason McCormick.
Yep.
I think he's expected to be the starter. I think it's his job.
Very serviceable.
Yeah.
He's like a Ramon Foster.
He's one of those 1AA players. He's South State? Yeah. So he knows how to brawl. And then another big one, I think Fautana is a huge question mark.
Yeah.
I really do.
I mean, that knee problem that he had last year, I mean, this is
well, by definition, it's not going to get better, obviously.
Right. And I mean, this is your first round pick. This is, if he has a strong camp, hopefully he solidifies that position. If he's able to stay healthy, hopefully you're going to be able to see what we all think that he can be and what we've seen him obviously in the college ranks, but I mean, that's going to be, like I said, remains to be seen.
So they're obviously going to keep probably 9 linemen, right?
I would say okay. So depth, let's talk depth at tackle.
Yeah.
That swing tackle spot. You got Calvin Anderson, you got Dylan Cook, you got Spencer Anderson. Those are the main guys, right?
Right. Who stays, who goes out of those 3?
That was my next question. You read my mind. I mean, I think I like Dylan Cook. I really do. I think he has a lot of pedigree, and you can also make the case for Calvin Anderson. Really, you can make it for Spencer as well. I mean, it's a kind of a toss up, but I like Dylan Cook. What say you guys?
Well, Anderson, he was hurt last year, and I think they're excited to have him back. They liked how he worked with them, I think, 2 years ago.
You're talking about Calvin, right?
I think so. I think it's Calvin. I can't remember which one it was.
It's Calvin's the older one. Calvin's 29, going on 30.
Yeah.
So it's going to – I mean, I tend to agree. I mean, he was good. He was able to do – it's going to come down to, out of those 3, who does the best at different positions, really.
Yeah.
Right. Who's more versatile, right? That's what they're looking for the next guy in line.
That's going to be the most valuable because Spencer Anderson's, traditionally a guard.
Right.
But
yeah, because if Frazier goes down, who's going to snap?
They do have a center on the team right now. Can't remember his name, but you're right. I mean, can any of those guards slide into center? Because it seems to be easier for the interior linemen to switch positions.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question?
$7.
Real quick.
Yes.
What do you think about you see a lot of these centers starting to use that palm snap. What do you think about that? What's the pros and what's the cons of using that palm snap? You know what? Do you understand what I'm saying when I say a palm snap?
Yeah, you're taking your hand over the ball as opposed to grabbing it.
Correct. Like here, I'll grab this little football I got here. Like as opposed to like that, you're snapping like that.
Yeah.
And I
think that has to be up to the quarterback, doesn't it?
I think so, but you see a lot more linemen doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched a little bit of the UFL this year, and you see a lot of, I know like DC Defenders, their center does that. There's a lot of centers.
What's the advantage of it, I wonder?
I think one way is the normal way, Billy. Quarterback's hands are like parallel the ground, really, right?
Yeah.
I think the other way they're able to turn, and I think Eddie's right. I think it's preference of the quarterback on how they do it. Because either way, the guy's hands out of the way.
Zach Frazier doesn't do the palm snap.
No,
he's your regular traditional snap.
That's why we like Zach Frazier.
I'm sure if there's an advantage, it's a copycat world. They would all do it, right?
Yeah, you're seeing it more and more, though. I'm seeing those palm snaps more and more. I don't know what.
It must be being taught somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, I've never seen anybody throw that ball with a palm, anything like that, right? The whole reason you have a hand on the ball is to grip the ball. Like you want to make sure you get that good exchange, have the ball go exactly where you want it. I don't know how you have any kind of control with that palm stuff. I've never tried it though.
Neither have I. I need to get a football and try it now.
Well, I think you need to have you've got to have big paws to do that. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you know you've got
So
to.
that's why we got to get rid of Kenny Pickett.
Well, he's not a center. But I mean, you're seeing those palms. I'm seeing it a lot more. I tell you another. I see it in the CFL. They do that a ton in the CFL.
What's the shape of the ball in the CFL? Because between
same.
college football is a little bit more, is a little closer to like a rugby ball.
Yep.
And the NFL ball is a little bit more elongated, maybe, right?
Yeah, a CFL ball and I think an NFL ball are pretty much the same, right? Ed?
Very close.
Maybe something with the elongated ball.
But they have more time. They have a true neutral zone. They're a yard away. They have to be.
Right.
You know, they have a true neutral zone. So they probably have more time and it's more comfortable. You know, they don't have to get it back as fast. They still do, but they're going to get their hands up quicker, right?
Yeah. That's just an observation I've seen with the palm snapping. You're seeing that more with a lot more centers are doing that.
Yeah.
And
when I was today in the office, I was with the French native from another place, and also Staff Sergeant Jones, and he was doing his kicks and practicing left and right, being a left and right tackle. He didn't have a problem with it, and he's a 42-year-old staff sergeant in the Army. He didn't seem to have a problem getting that kick step on left or right, because we were debating whether or not Broderick Jones is a true elite athlete.
You're talking about Jones, right?
Yeah. Pastor, he's a pastor.
Well, you know he played in the CFL, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah. We talk a lot. We talk a whole lot of football.
Yeah.
He is a Pittsburgh native who is a diehard Ravens fan.
And he was a coach too. He coached high school.
Yes, he did.
If you want to talk about a guy who knows football, Bill Jones. Bill Jones knows football.
Yeah, he's in there a lot with the French native from another place. Fortunately, Dr. McCown is out. He's taking his talents on the road to JBMDL. So
I know. Yeah,
I didn't have a chance to consult with Dr. McCown, but we did talk to Marbles today. And Marbles was doing very well.
All right. We talked depth at tackle. Let's just talk overall offensive line development, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're and I hate to sound like a broken record, but you're really banking on the development of these young guys. You really are, especially like I said, Jones. I'll even throw Frazier in there, McCormick, Faltano. You're looking at these guys and you're like, this is going to be, make or break for a lot of these guys. And I've said, again, hate to sound like a broken record, but despite, I would say a talented starting five. I think there's some, the jury's still out on some of them, but I just think you once again you lack depth, and that's going to be problematic if injuries occur. They happened last year, and when you look at it, several linemen last year were injured. Faltano, Frazier, they all dealt with injuries last year, and that's raised some concerns about durability. So I think overall, though, to kind of close this all up, I think they have a lot of potential. But there's a lot of unanswered questions with this line. And, and like I said, particularly I would say regarding the young tackles, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, they are counting on youth. And youth means that you have to rely on your scouts who are able to find talent and your coaches are able to develop talent. I think that's why they're rated 21.
Right, and I'm not. It's no, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Pat Meyer. He's going to have to figure out a way to make this work. And I don't know. Any closing thoughts on the line?
It's going to be the
How long do you think he will hold on to the ball? Do you think he's going to have it for more or less than 3 seconds to see if this line needs to hold up? Because if it's less than 3 seconds, this line might not have to be that good.
I think the average is far less than that. I think the average is
2 seconds. Yeah.
So
if he can get the ball out in 2 seconds, I think this line is going to be just fine.
Well, yeah, because he's going to protect him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean,
It depends on
I
the
think
scheme.
he's.
I don't think,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the scheme. I see Rodgers operating out of the shotgun a lot.
I
I
do as
think.
well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw him do it in the tail end of his career in Green Bay. You saw him do it a ton in last year with the Jets.
That's what Danny Marino did at the end of his
Yeah.
career, remember?
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're. And that being said, you may see a lot more draws as well.
Do they have a drawback? I think the drawback is Gainwell.
I was just going to say he's about the only one I think because Warren's not a drawback.
Nope.
For sure, he's not a drawback.
Get out of Iowa's traditional.
Gainwell, I've seen him I've seen him in that scheme. So, and he's done it, I think, pretty good. So, but look for that. I think that's going to be a big
dump offs underneath, and if those dump offs become effective, you start opening up those middle routes, even like middle range, middle of the field as well.
And we saw that with Jonnu Smith. That was his bread and butter with Tua. With Tua. I could definitely see that. And hey, I kind of got to thinking about this now that we're on the subject. Ed, you and I talked about this today. Maybe Jonnu Smith is their unofficial number 2. Let's just say we've seen it before. We've seen tight ends that have had volume of catches and are practically a number 2. And who knows, that may be kind of what they're looking at. I think they're going to throw the tight end a lot more, and I think it's just going to be by Aaron Rodgers. I just think he's gonna he's gonna call the shots on that, and I think he's gonna want to spread the ball around.
And I do think Washington's going to do well, and I think Fireman's going to do a lot better than he has recently.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I definitely
forced to go to those players though, with the absence of George Pickens and a legitimate second receiver, so they're going to be forced to go there. Whether or not the offense lends to it or not,
which isn't a good situation, and that's not a good going, and that's not good for game planning because your defense is going to be expecting that probably.
And then how many off-schedule plays?
I mean, the defense, the opponent's defense is going to be expecting that. Yeah.
How many off-schedule plays is Rodgers going to have? He's going to be given 3 or 4 plays. He's going to be able to check in and check out of them. I think that he's got a golden arm, so. It's just can these people get open and can they catch?
It's going to call for their defense, put either extra safeties or that slimmer linebacker and keep up with these tight ends and run.
If they smell blood water and they start attacking the tackles because they know they can't hold up, it's season over. Doesn't matter who you have back there.
Yeah, but if you're at that close range, I see Aaron Rodgers being able to dip, dive, dodge, and everything else to get it out there to them.
Yeah.
I almost think Arthur Smith ought to take a little bit of a pay cut this year because he's not going to be he's not going to be he's not going to be controlling the game like he has in recent years for sure. So it's going to he's going to have a little pressure lifted from him because I think Mr. Rodgers is going to be doing his thing at the line of scrimmage. And
the other question I have is,
and rightfully so. I mean, he's earned it.
The other question I have is, how long does it take? We did the same thing last year. Yeah. How long does it take for them to play like they've played for 10 years together? What's the over/under? 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks?
6 weeks. That's what comes to mind when I think of that.
That's season over if it's 6 weeks.
I know. I mean,
I would hope that he understands that. It's kind of different in this day and age with an older quarterback because you're not going to bring an older quarterback in and force him to run the system that Arthur Smith has. So Arthur Smith has to do his Arthur Smith has to do his due diligence today and understand what Rodgers is good at. Don't tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you can do. and then go with that. Because if he tries to do stuff that he's not comfortable with, I think it's where it's going to be. If you guys have Netflix, watch the quarterback series. It's incredible.
It's good. Yeah.
There's another one this year with Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins again, and Joe Burrow. I mean, and you could see with Cousins when they came into the game, he told them, because there's too much motion in this offense. They had that play against the Steelers in the first game that turned the game, where the tight end came too early and the ball hit the tight end and Watt jumped on the ball. I mean, that was the difference in the game. At that point, they were winning 10-9.
Thoughts on the Steelers? We're giving it to you. We're about 35 minutes in there.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, it's going to be an interesting year. That's all I got to say.
Where does that put them though overall, right? I mean, they're trying to do a show for the draft next year.
Right.
If they go 9-8, 8-9, they're not going to be up in the top to get either one of the top quarterbacks.
No, they're not. That's definitely true. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk. We're not moving on off the Steelers, but we are moving on to a new subject. TJ Watt. Here we are, guys. 15 days from camp. A lot of speculation and discussion surrounding TJ Watt's future. Several factors are coming into play. If you would have 2 weeks ago, I really thought that they were going to sign him. I thought, they're going to get this done. They're going to figure this out. Now, not so much. I think that, this could be a potential. This could lead to them potentially moving on from him. And there's a lot of sources that are saying that now. I didn't really believe it when it was said a few weeks ago. Now I'm starting to think maybe that could be an option. In the back of my mind, though, I still kind of believe that an extension is kind of more likely. But
what are your thoughts on extension, right? Are you thinking 3 or 4 years?
Well,
you think 4?
I'm thinking 4. I'm thinking
so,
4.
4 times 4 is what?
I mean, what's that?
4 times 4 is $160 million.
Right.
You're gonna want 4, so you're probably looking at $164 million.
Yeah.
$164 million for a player going on 32.
He wants to exceed $40 million a year. We know this. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I don't care. That's going to place a significant. That's going to place a significant burden on the Steelers' salary cap. And I'm going to say this. Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to limit their ability to sign and retain other guys.
Well, not only that, but it's the guy who had 0 stats in 10 games last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, so you're looking at, we'll say it's 4 for 164, and his last contract guaranteed 80, so he's going to want 100 million guaranteed. Which, the French native from another place who is a big fan of the barbershop where you get a lot of news. That's one of the hangups is he wants 100 million guaranteed. I don't know that you allow somebody who's not a quarterback, can affect the game, but is not as good as he was. I think Myles Garrett is better.
If he exceeds $40 million a year, he's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the league.
History.
Yeah. History.
Yeah. I mean, so what do they do? I mean, you're the Steelers GM. Well, a 3-year contract,
and you make a very good point, Ed, with that Myles Garrett thing. I really believe that TJ Watt's obsessed with this whole Myles Garrett thing. I really believe that. I believe he wants to get paid. He feels he should make more than him. And last year 10 games not on the stat sheet. And I'm sorry, the production's just not there. It's maybe it's because and I mean, if you're the Steelers, you're cautious as it is because large guaranteed contracts for players that are over 30. He's going to be 31. That's kind of like you're very cautious if you're a franchise on doing that. And I think there's other factors you could. I mean, there's obviously a very big disconnect between Watt and the Steelers in negotiations. We've seen it before. This is similar to his contract dispute in 2021, but it's way different. Things are way different now because there's a lot more factors to come into play than there was in 2021.
There's a lot less guarantee as well.
Well, I think aging and injury concerns are number one. Let's face it, he's entering the latter stage of his career. Okay. He's 10 games, no stats. There's a question of productivity, right?
He's also in a position that lends itself to injury only because he can't control what's around him. Once you get in the wash, Tracy, once you're in that wash, I mean, a player can be thrown on you.
You don't know what can happen. And I think that not just that, but his physical playing style doesn't tend to hold up over time. And the wear and tear.
His size too.
Yeah,
he's smaller, more agile, right?
I mean, I'm going to give you some examples. Okay, when he missed time in 2022 during his, as a result of that pectoral injury,
yep.
And he had arthroscopic knee surgery. He had, last year he missed a game due to a knee injury as well. I think it was week 15, I think.
Yeah.
And he also suffered that. Wasn't there an ankle injury against the Eagles? I want to say
when he did his hold in is when he got hurt that season too.
Yeah.
We talked about it too. We said they signed him. He's going to have a soft tissue injury, and sure enough, after that Bills game, he got a soft tissue injury.
I mean, the sacks have declined. 2024, 11.5. 2023, 19.
Yeah.
So if you're the Steelers, I mean, of course, the Steelers, they know this. I mean, it's not, so I mean, traditionally the Steelers have spread their resources, I think, across all three phases of the team, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, this contract for Watt could really kind of put a monkey wrench in this type of approach that they've had, and I just think to commit that much cap space to one defensive player, when I looking back at it and I kind of step back and look at the grand scheme of things, I don't know that it's such a good idea. So
it's also, you could also gain some assets as well. I mean, there were other teams that in the league that traded stars and gained assets.
Yeah.
Right.
A wide receiver could come back in that return.
Yeah, you could gain draft capital. You can do a whole lot of stuff. I mean, his market value, and I've been looking it up and studying, his market value is $36.6 a year, mainly because of his age and his injury history. Right. If they do the 4 years, 164 and guarantee 100, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. It is.
If I were a Steeler fan, I'd be extremely hesitant to do that, even given his dedication to the league, to the team, all that stuff. And obviously, they got rid of Minka because Minka was a scapegoat for the poor play in the defensive backfield, so they got rid of him. I mean, do they dare? They have a lot to concern themselves about. They really do.
And I mean, hey, I'm not saying, I'm not saying that. I mean, the production's fallen off. I'm not saying that he can't, maybe find that level of production that you want. But I think that, obviously
it's more likely than not that it's not going to be back to work.
Well, yeah, and exactly, because it's Father Time is undefeated, so
especially at that position, they're just not that. I mean, you look at other great ones that exist, and they just don't do it that way.
No, they don't approach it that way. I think the value for top tier pass rushers in the league it's up there. I mean, right? You've seen a lot of teams prioritize, the defensive attributes, to focusing on disrupting, passing lanes and creating turnovers and doing things like that. So, I mean, there's a value for obviously top tier pass rushers.
And there's no doubt when the pass rush gets there quicker, the back end.
Well, maybe Howie Roseman can pull off a trade for Watt to my Eagles.
He might. I mean, stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
He might find some scared players who.
Well, that's a very good question, Michael. And that kind of leads us down to, that kind of maybe caveat off of that. What do you think if they were able to trade him? Do you think they're going to receive a significant return? I mean, just due to his talent, his age, his contract situation. Do you think that there might be, not the return that you're expecting?
What did JJ get when he moved from where? Texas, right?
Yeah, it was.
He went to Arizona.
Yeah, look that up. But I mean, it also depends on the team, because if you look at a team like, say, I don't know, Kansas City, they would easily give up a 1 1/3. Why wouldn't they?
Right. I mean, it's just a question I'm posing. I mean, it's not.
So if they give up a 1 1/3, Billy, that puts us then with who playing outside for us on the left?
Herbig.
Yeah, I mean
that's one. Sawyer'd be the other one, and then what about Leal? Right, that's about where we're at. Then that's our 3 with Highsmith.
Herbig, I think is, he's. I mean, he's almost there. I mean, he's.
Well, on a pass rush, I think he is there. I do think he has that super high motor. His legs don't stop. That's what's awesome about him.
Right.
Really good hands. He's got that leverage as well. I think the problem is really size for run defense. That's the problem.
Yeah. Right. But yeah. I mean, that's a very good question. Very good.
It is.
Very good question. Very good point, Trace. Duly noted. All right. Anything else about TJ Watt? I mean, what do you think, guys? I mean, is this, I mean, obviously he's a franchise cornerstone, his absence. Is his absence significantly impacting the team now? Do you think it is?
Does he hold in? So the Watt trade to Arizona, they got 2 first rounds and a second.
Yeah.
Which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because he was old.
I would say we need something ridiculous like that to say yes.
I don't know if anybody's going to be willing to do it because of the fact that he wants $41 million a year. If you look around,
and I don't know that Philadelphia would be a good fit because I don't know if they're going to have very high draft picks at number 1 both years, right?
That's why Philly would do it.
Yeah. Watt is only 30 and Myles Garrett's 29. Trey Hendrickson is 30 years old, so I wouldn't say Watt is old. No, but he's going to be 31. So
he'll be 31 this year.
Yeah, but I mean that kind of is. You're starting to get kind of in the tail end of the career, I
mean, if you look at the cap, there's only a couple teams that New England could absorb him, no problem.
Yeah,
still have 20-odd million left in cap.
Right.
And he'd probably love to play for Vrabel.
Right.
But again, that doesn't get him closer to. I mean, he's never won a playoff game. Those are the harsh realities.
Oh yeah.
Never won a playoff game.
I know.
For somebody who was quote unquote a generational player, never won a playoff game.
Right.
So I don't know. You've obviously lost without him for the past how many years?
Yeah.
So you can easily lose when he's not there. So if I were the
right? True. You can accomplish the same thing with him not being there.
Right. Which is why I would trade him. Nothing to shade against the guy, but I would trade him because you have to get younger quicker.
Well, I'm almost kind of. If you had asked me a month ago, I would have been like, no. But I'm almost kind of in agreement with you. I think that we're getting to the point where my favorite saying, the juice isn't worth the squeeze on him. Yeah. I mean, at that point in time. And the biggest thing is, I look at, like I said, 10 games last year. He wasn't on the stat sheet. Wasn't on the stat sheet. And that's to me, that's troubling. And I'm sure it's troubling for the Steelers too. I mean, I'm sure.
And one of the games that I watched with Pastor Steph Sergeant Jones was that he claimed that he was double teamed this time. We watched, I don't know how many plays, and he just wasn't double teamed at all.
Yeah, I know that's a big myth.
Yeah,
that's a big myth.
I mean, there's games where he was, but the game that we watched,
sure,
he was.
But
not
I mean, there was a lot of games that he wasn't double teamed, and they used that same excuse. Oh, he was double teamed.
Yeah,
no, he wasn't. Watch the tape. Tape don't lie. All right, let's switch gears. Like I said, I want to apologize. Last week I didn't bring up about Dave Parker passing. Tremendous legacy. Baseball Hall of Famer. It's sad that he passed prior to him. Obviously he knew he was going in, but it's sad that he wasn't able to make it to his induction. this guy was a tremendous player for the Pirates. I mean, he was just, if you want to talk about a guy that just was a freakish athlete, that's Dave Parker. Just some of his accolades. Obviously, he was a 2-time World Series champion. He won with the Pirates in '79 and the Oakland A's in '89. 2-time National League batting champion. Led the National League in batting average in consecutive seasons, 77, 78. In 77, he had 215 hits and a 338 batting average. National League MVP, earned the National League Most Valuable Player award in 1978. While playing for the Pirates that year, he led the league with a 334 average, hit 30 home runs, and collected 117 RBIs. 3-time Golden Glove Award winner. He defensive prowess was recognized with 3 Gold Gloves. All of them were consecutive for his play in right field, 77, 78, and 79. He was known for his powerful arm. Threw out 26 runners in 1977. Was a 7-time All-Star. Was selected to the All-Star team 7 times, 77, 79, 81, 85, 86, and 1990. All-Star Game MVP, was named the most valuable player of the 1979 All-Star, the Midsummer Classic. 3-time Silver Slugger Award winner. Parker was recognized for his production he won the Silver Slugger in 85, 86, and 90. Over 19 seasons, had some impressive career stats. 2,712 hits, 339 home runs, 1,493 RBIs with a lifetime batting average of 290. Just a tremendous player. I like the story that you heard about Dave Parker. He used to wear a Star of David all the time, and one of the reporters in the locker room said, "Oh, you're wearing a Star of David. Do you have some Jewish heritage?" He said, "No." He said, "I'm a star, and my name is David." And I mean, you talk about the guy that had the, if you hear any bopping, it's just me and the boys. If you hear any noise, it's just me and the boys bopping. He had that shirt, and obviously that was a song lyric, but just one thing when they were doing their tribute to him, they were talking about a lot of the younger players were talking and coming out and saying, he was like the leader in the clubhouse, and he helped to mentor a lot of younger players. He was just always that type of guy, a good guy. And just, it's sad. It's sad that he wasn't able to, obviously he was dealing with Parkinson's, and just succumbed to it, wasn't able to, to make it to his induction. Just sad. It's just sad. But rest in peace, Dave Parker. Like I said, forgot that I had it in my notes last week, and just could not believe after the show that I forgot to mention it. But here you go. Let's talk about modern day Pirates here. Where are they at right now? It's 3-0 Kansas City. Yeah, I mean, they're probably going to get swept on this. And is it just unbelievable? I mean, you have this home stand where you outscore your opponent 30. What was it? 30? Was it 38-4? And it was just like an unprecedented homestand. I mean, you go, and then you go out on the road and you get just decimated by Seattle, and now it looks like, I mean, they could come back, but
No, it's just the Pirates telling us it's July. You're done. That's all. It's usually last a little bit. Let's have some fun, and now it's July. We're done.
My question, guys, is how does and there's a lot of guys, or there's a lot of teams interested in him. How does Mitch Keller make it past this trade deadline? I mean, I think he gets dealt. I mean, what do you guys think? I think Connor Falefa gets dealt. I think there's going to be. I think they're going to clean house. I really do. I think it's going to be.
I like Cruz to go. Bam.
Yeah,
I would not mind all of them to go.
Right.
Problem is, I mean, you have assets that are worthy. I mean, you have O'Neal Cruz who should go. You have Ke'Bryan Hayes who should go. You have Reynolds who should go. You got Bednar, Keller. I mean, those are assets that are valuable. Right. Those are valuable stock. But what are you going to get in return, and what are you going to do with what you get in return?
Well,
that's the best part.
That's just the whole thing. I mean, it's not.
I think you go after bats is the answer, right? So center
Well,
field, shortstop, first base, third base, bats.
Well, I mean,
you're going to have to give up pitching to go out and get bats.
Mitch Keller.
And I know that, but I mean that just here we go again. It's the seesaw can never be like this. It's always like this with them. It's always like this. It's you're pitching and hitting on the side of the seesaw, the teeter totter.
Well, keep in mind now, Billy, we got
Never be even.
Jones is on the injured list right now. There's another Olivier.
Yeah.
Jeez.
oh,
Oh, that dude.
No.
We got two
I
pitchers that
know.
are solid coming back.
Yeah.
Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Leviosa.
I mean, I would say Mitch Keller has really turned his career around. I mean, this is a guy that
I'm shocked he's still on the team. I swear I am. That guy's an extremely valuable commodity. If he goes to a team that has a winning record, he eats innings.
That's the problem. Yeah, there's a lot of teams that want him because you look at some of these teams that, and I know we're in July, but some of these teams are kind of aligning themselves for pennant races, and they're looking at these. They want inning eaters. They want that. That's what you want.
ESPN had him trade deadline rumors. He was number one.
Right.
Number one piece that should move.
And I mean, he's gotten that ERA down, and he's kept it down. It was inflated there for a while back in 2023. Last year it looked good. This year has looked good with has had that that ERA down and like you said, eats innings. I mean, he does everything you want him to do, and
especially with these teams that are relying heavily this early in the season on their bullpen. Right, they're going to their bullpen earlier than they want to. Somebody just had the Dodgers. The guy lasted 2/3 of one inning.
Yeah.
Right. 2/3 of one inning. And it was the first inning, and he got chased. Right. So I mean, you want players like Keller. I'd be shocked if he's still on the Pirates.
I would too. I mean, I think he's your number. Like I said, I think Connor Falefa, Pham. I think they could look at Dylan Cruz.
Reynolds, who has an escalating contract they don't like. They made the contract.
Right.
It escalates in the final 3 years to much more money.
Right.
You have Ke'Bryan Hayes, you have O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah. I mean, Ke'Bryan Hayes offensively, maybe not what you want, but I
think it's the 5 guys. If we deal those 5 guys and we get a whole bunch of really just prospects back, and mostly bats, I think that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine O'Neal Cruz on the Mets? With Starling Marte, and he's better, younger, better. Yeah. You put him in that lineup, put him in the murderers row, the Yankees. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way you can strike out up there.
I don't know that you can afford to with all the bats around him. I mean, that's what you're talking about. You're gonna need that balance. They just don't have it on the Pirates.
Right. All right. Let's switch gears. So Penguins really haven't done much. I know they signed that Mantha. Ed, you said there was another guy from Washington they signed.
They did. Alexeyev, who's a big defenseman, 6'4".
Oh yeah, I heard of him. Yeah,
he's good. That's a good signing.
Not a bad signing. That's an all right signing.
Yeah.
I think Mantha's a good signing for them. He's a big body.
Memphis.
Yeah. Pitt football. Do we want to talk Pitt football, or do we want to save that for next week?
I think we only have time to update the Divas and the Passion, and then a quick update on the Riverhounds.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're running a little bit. Yeah. We were going to talk Pitt football, but I think we'll save that till next week. All right. Well, let's talk about the Diva. What are they doing here? I'm sorry, the Passion.
They're playing against the Divas from Maryland.
God, right. I'm all screwed up. Okay.
Jeez, Billy. Yeah, so the Passion are playing a championship game, 6:00 on Saturday. They're playing in which field was it, Eddie? North Allegheny's field?
No, West Allegheny home.
West Allegheny. I apologize. But they're playing against the Divas, and it is a championship game, and it should be a really good game.
Well, that's the team they lost against, right?
Right, but it was really tight. It wasn't like they got blown out or anything. Like, it was a game.
Now, where can we find that at?
It should be on ESPN as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're going to play it this weekend. 6:00 it starts.
That's great. You know what? They should. I mean, they should. Like I talked a little bit about this. I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago. they should show these games. I mean, gosh, these
They
girls.
just say it's free parking. And it's only a couple bucks to get in the door. It's like a high school game price, right?
Yeah.
And that's where they used to play. They used to play at West A before they started playing up at the college.
I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy that we have I like the fact that you have women's football, and not flag football, tackle football. I like the fact
Yeah, they get after it. They do. They get after
I
it.
mean, I think it's great, man. I think it's great. So, so championship game, Pittsburgh Passion versus DC Divas.
Live, West Allegheny.
Live, coming at you live.
It might even be sloppy, right? It's supposed to rain a little bit. It might even be one of those fun games to watch.
A little sloppy. I like it.
Right? Getting all muddy.
Riverhounds had a big win on the 4th of July against New Mexico. And I mean, that was the number 1 team in the West. So kudos to them. They did a hell of a job on that. Facing Loud on a Sunday. Be down there Sunday covering the game. It's weird. 5 p.m. start. Not used to that, but I'll be down there Sunday covering the game. Like I said, 5 p.m. against Loudon. Loudon, a tough team, 8-5-2. Riverhounds getting better, 6-6-2.
They lost to Loudon earlier, out Loudon 2-1. So
2-1, yeah. So it's going to be you're at home. You're in your confines of your home. And let's see what happens here. I mean, I hope that they can get it done. I'm seeing a lot more offense on this team. I'm seeing a lot more runs. I'm seeing them do a lot more things, Ed and Trace, that are kind of, promising. I think finally Bob Willie's philosophy of, hey, let's attack. Let's, try to get behind their defense and create chances. He's been harping on that all season, and I think it's kind of starting to come to fruition, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that the idea of I mean, they do have a strong defense, but I was reading and they started a high line with recovering the ball quicker. And really that's got to be part of their game because they can't sit back and build from the back because they don't really have that much success doing that on the score sheet. But if you're able to run a high line and pressure the other team, I think that's the way to go from here on out. And they had success doing it. So I hope they continue it.
Well, we've sat on the press conferences with Ball Lily time and time again.
Yep.
And we talked, heard him, harp on his philosophy and stuff like that. And I think at this point in time, they're starting to buy in. I think the team's starting to buy in on what he's trying to convey to them. And I think finally you're starting to see just, they're just starting to play more cohesive, and they're taking the chances. And another thing that I see is they're taking risks. They're and he mentioned that our last press conference that we were in with him is you can't be afraid to take risks. You can't be afraid to take the risks, and and you got to be able to do that. And if you can't do that, then your play and your game is just going to stagnate, right? You're not going to get any, you're not going to get better, and that for a long stretch there, it was kind of stagnated soccer. It was just not scoring.
Very hard to watch.
It was very hard to watch. And I think now they may have found their niche, and I think maybe they're
off.
Maybe they're starting to come into their groove, and hopefully, they're moving up in the standings. I can tell you that much. So I mean,
moving on up.
So yeah. So all right. Well, I think that about does it. I think we've covered everything. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and I guess we'll be tuning out now. But
see you later.
Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next week. We'll be back next week because I know you'll be in France next weekend. You and I'll be able to do the show.
I will be the French native from another place next week. So
yeah, okay. Well, we'll probably we'll still be trucking on here.
It's 4-2. It'll be 2 a.m. If I'm awake, I'll send you some pictures.
Okay.
You'll be the American foreigner, not from France.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for tuning in, and we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.